Hello everyone, today we have a very special guest, Chris Bannister, also known as Theo. We don't know for how long, people's gonna know you like that. We're super excited to have you here. Thank you so much for meeting with us.
Well, thanks very much for inviting me, and let's enjoy the chat.
All right. Well, first of all, a lot of people know about you just as Theo, but you're Chris Bannister, so what can you tell us about yourself, a little bit about your background, who you are?
Yeah, okay. I'm 59 years old. I enjoy life immensely, and I've got to say, as I look back on my life, I think, wow, how lucky I've been. I've got two fantastic children. One's at university in Bristol in the UK. My daughter is in university in Amsterdam. And I think they got the travel bug because one was born in Singapore, one was born in Malaysia, and this is my 10th country.
10th country?
10th country.
Wow.
Before here I was in Myanmar.
Myanmar. Right next to Thailand, is
That's
it, right?
right, yeah. So the disappointment, of course, is being English, I can survive in English. And I only speak English, which is dreadful, but that's who I am. So I enjoy travel, I enjoy adrenaline. I enjoy creating new things and developing teams and getting close to people.
What do you like about developing teams?
I think I've got to say, there's a bit of an ego about it, I can't deny. When I arrive in a country and everyone says, we don't need another telephone company. or, you can't beat Intel, Movistar, Claro, blah, blah, blah. That stimulates me. And then that kicks in. How do I do this? And you can only do it not by Chris Bannister or Theo. You do it by the 2,000 people that you employ. So then, and I can't deny, I enjoy the adrenaline of building that team and seeing, can this team that is evolving make a difference? Not just building a telephone company, but actually making a difference on social change. Because you've got to have a big vision.
Right.
Anyone can deliver a telephone company, but it's delivering a company that can change society. That's what I enjoy trying to achieve.
Wow, so I believe that one of the things, well, first of all, trying to remember some of the achievements you and your team had on WOM. You started with 250,000 customers, and you end up with 4 million. Now there's 5 million?
Yeah, it was just over 4 million when I handed over, and now we just got over 5 million. So it's great news. It wasn't a Chris Bannister story. They're still growing. Great job to the boys.
Well, some other important achievements is that the price of each gigabyte kind of dropped, what, about 40%, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, can you believe? 4 years ago, only 4 years ago, Chileans used to pay 25,000 pesos per gigabit.
Per gigabyte.
Per gigabyte. Now it's less than 2. More importantly, it's less than 2 gigabits, and one's profitable. So it just shows how badly serves 17 million Chileans were 4 years ago. And that's what we saw. And I'm pleased to say that 17 million Chileans, not just the 5 million people with one,
that's right,
actually have got a significantly better service, cheaper service, and a much more vibrant economy because of it. So I'm really pleased.
Well, that proves some leadership abilities from you, and that's one of the things I'd like to ask you about. Just to start, general question: what is your leadership philosophy?
It's about getting people engaged. It's about getting the management team and the rest of the organization fully engaged in the vision and believing the vision. And certainly 4 years ago, I think in my first week, if I'm truthful, people didn't believe when I said, okay, we're going to get 25% market share. Tell me what you need to get it. No belief. I said, I don't expect you today to believe. Just tell me what you need. So, and then I worked on the belief. Then you work on the engagement. And then it's now a bit easier because with 5 million customers, people know it's going to happen.
They don't have a problem believing that you can achieve anything. Yeah. So how do you engage people with this vision?
It's about making sure that people are aware that what they do matters. An example would be, I think I had 350 people, from management team members down to the shop managers in Arica or Punta Arenas or La Serena, all on a WhatsApp group called Kick-Ass Culture. And when you'd see good stuff or bad stuff, you'd put it on there. And it's important that, certainly as a CEO, but all the people see that and feel it. I think one of my biggest achievements was not the 4 or the 5 million customers, but it's the fact that 94% of the staff say they are proud to work for WOM. Not happy, not satisfied, not the luncheon vouchers are okay, but they're proud to work for, because they know WOM is more than a telephone company. It's changed society, not just giving you lower gigabits. We've shown that you can treat people with respect. You can treat 17 million people with respect, deliver a great service, and be profitable and successful. And that's what 2,000 of the WOMers see every day.
So you said you have been in 10 countries.
That's right.
You've probably done this a few times, and we were lucky to get you when you had all this experience in you. So how do you get there? How did you start with this?
Wow. To be honest, you throw yourself out there. I left the UK. I'm English. I left the UK in 1995. Before I left, the company I was working for was a telephone company. I said to them, I can do this job. It was a sales job, a sales director's job. I was like 33, I think. I said, I can do this job, but I've done lots of sales director jobs. What I want, once we've launched this telephone company, which is was called Mercury One to One, I want to go to work in one of your Asian operations in, say, 2 years' time. And to be honest, in 1995, 12 months after I launched the organisation, or as a sales director, I launched it, they rang me, the HR director said, we've got this great opportunity. You want to go to Asia? It's in Vietnam. And I packed my bags and left 2 months later. And then started, and then got the buzz of creating teams in a foreign country, in a language that I don't speak. And that to me shows that leadership is not about words, it's about what you do. Because I can't speak Spanish, as you know. I couldn't speak Myanmarian. I couldn't speak German. I couldn't speak Swedish, despite being married to a Swedish girl for 7 years. So it's not the words you use as a leader, it's the actions you use. Are they consistent all the time? Do they show the values of the company? So many people have the values written on the wall. No. They're here. If they're not in your heart, forget putting them on the wall. And people, 2,000 people in the case of one, has to feel that the CEO and the leadership of the company believe and make consistent decisions on the values of the company. And it's putting that through day in, day out, so that people see it. The little things matter.
So you said just a little bit ago that when you get there, you work with upper management and middle management. Sometimes it's really tough to work with managers, because they're smart. Sometimes they have their ego. So how do you work with them so they believe this vision?
Well, it is a kind of, you sit down there and you see what's the talent you've got. And over a period of time, which in my case tends to be about the first 30 days, do the people have the talent, but more importantly, do they have the attitude? The attitude to believe in the values of the company. The attitude they might not believe today, but do they have the attitude where they will believe? And if they do, great. Support them, develop them, and grow them. If they don't, remove them. Remove them humanely, but remove them. Because you've got to have people that want to change the world, that they will deliver the values. Not just say the words, but they will deliver the values. We've removed lots of people from WOM. The talent is great. They've walked out of WOM, got a job the next day. But they didn't believe in the values of WOM. So I removed them. Wow. Too many leaders tolerate people who don't live the values. And that destroys companies and it creates office politics and inconsistencies. And they tolerate it because, he knows X, he knows all the numbers. But if his values and his moral compass is wrong, remove him. Knowing the numbers, anyone can do. Not everyone can live the values of a company who's got the power of one.
That's right. Wow. So the upper management, you have them close, you probably see them every day. How do you do it with middle management?
You've been to the office, so you know it's a very, very open plan. We don't have offices. We just have desks. And to be honest, I don't see the management team. Oh, when I was at the office, I didn't see the management team every day because I don't need to see the management team. I need to see everybody else, and more importantly, everybody else needs to see me because they need to see, am I living the values? So I probably would spend, say, I get to the office at 7:30 in the morning, just so that's my time. It's not that, but I would leave at 4:35 because hell, I've got better things to do than just be in the office. So it's about being organised, structured. What's the hot topics of the day, which I would get via SMS or WhatsApp. Deal with those and go and deal with either, let's say middle management, and ideally to see some of the, I hate the terminology lower management, because the lower management are actually at the coalface. They are actually at the front line. Right. They are the important people to see because they see the customer or listen to the customer every day. Now, there's obviously a challenge on English Spanish or English German or English Azuri, whichever the 10 countries they're in. But you'll learn how to communicate. You'll learn how to understand the priority of what they're telling you that the customers are feeling. And then I can go and talk to the management team and sort out those problems. So it's not really about seeing the middle management. It's about getting close to the people who speak to the customer. They tell you the truth. The other people give you a packaged version of the truth. Not deliberately, it's just that's what they do. So it's about getting... so I spend most of my time, not on my desk even, most of my time just walking around, sitting on other people's desks, trying to learn what's happening today. What's the hot pain points?
That's very interesting. So I heard you actually used to, travel a lot from different cities. Yeah. Visiting the stores. Yeah. Talking to people. Yeah. And I imagine you had a translator who helped you with the language, or. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, there's usually. I mean, unless it's a public professional presentation, I would depend on one of the staff to translate. We had a great guy in the training departments. He was really great at translating for me, and he over the 4 years he got used to the passion and what certain words I would use. So he got really into it. But when I go to say Los Angeles or Punta Arenas or any of the smaller cities around Chile, there's usually someone there who knows enough language. And to be honest, after 25 years of living in countries, even though I don't speak the language, I survive and I can hear and feel what's needed to be done.
So when I hear about this, I compare it to most managers or CEO that I know, and I see a gap because that's not what they usually do. What else have you seen that leaders here in Chile generally do that do not make much sense to you?
So they don't actually really talk to the people. It's very hierarchical. They go down line management, and as a consequence, they never hear the truth about what's going on in their organizations. They also, let's say, they break a lot of company values because they don't live it themselves. So how can you expect the person in one of your shops to live the values if you don't live it yourself? I'll give you an example. When I was in Austria, I won't embarrass anyone in Chile. When I was in Austria, I arrived into Austria, and the HR director, I found out that his secretary, because it's Germanic, they had secretaries. We stopped that, but his secretary was his wife.
Oh.
So I had a chat with him. I said, "Don't you think that's wrong?" "No." So okay. So I then said, well, "Okay, your wife is going to be the secretary of the CTO, and you're fired because that's not the values. You can't fire me. The labour law doesn't allow that." "Okay, I will go through every one of your expenses. If there is 1 cent wrong, I will sue you." Anyway, he agreed to leave. Now, where I say that is, he knows that's wrong. You do not employ your wife as your own secretary. Because he knew it was wrong. I said, what if the shop manager employed his wife and his 2 daughters and his cousins in the shop? "Oh, we can't do that. That would lose control." And as a HR director, you think that is okay? You're setting the right example? And then he went up, "But it's not breaking the law." There is a difference between living the values and breaking the law. And I think too many leaders, political leaders and business leaders, they hide behind the law as opposed to being morally, ethically correct. I like to believe I'm morally, ethically correct in every decision I make. Maybe not always, but I'm pretty certain I am. I like to look at myself in the mirror in the morning and think, I made some tough decisions today. They were correct. Now, then the secondary, was it legal? Most leaders hide behind the legality and do not live and drive their businesses or the countries from an ethical value stance. So that's where I think a lot of leadership goes wrong. And therefore then the people in the lower parts of the organisation have no respect and have no faith in the leadership. And that's why companies don't change. Because the leadership is morally corrupt in a lot of cases.
What would you recommend to a middle management leader who sometimes might feel that their leaders might not be very coherent, or how can we help middle management to do their job and being a great leader, even though sometimes they might or might not have a great leader above them?
I think that's where the culture of the company is very important. You have to have where middle management, lower management, whatever it is, can feel comfortable to come to the CEO, and the CEO will actually take the right action. And the right action is not, it's about reviewing, asking other people are they correct, and then talking with the leader or the manager in context, putting in a development program if the information is correct, and then if there's no change of that behavior, you've got to remove. So I would encourage all people in that situation, you have to go and involve the management team. Now, if the management team are not taking it serious, then that's when you've got to question yourself, is that the company that you really want to work with? I think we were not lucky in one. We worked hard to make sure that we actually had the company values and the management team executed correctly on the vast majority of cases where those instances will occur. And in some cases where we put in the manager in a development case, we were successful and the manager changed the ways. And in some cases, even after becoming developed, they didn't change the ways, and I had to remove 3 of my direct reports because of that process. And I understand that's unusual in Chile. Usually if you're a management team member, that's it, you're there for life, no matter how good or bad you are. And that's why companies in Chile and elsewhere don't evolve, and the corporate culture is weak.
You have said a lot about values. If I recall correctly, the values in one were passion, bravery, innovation,
and honesty.
and honesty.
See.
So when I look at you, I see all that, naturally. So my question is, how did you get to these values? In the other companies you were CEO, were similar values, or what's the process?
Yeah, I've got to say, in terms of, well, to be honest, values have got to be authentic. And again, if you look at 10 countries, my background is sales and marketing. And what it proves is that sales and marketing is not about positioning and segmentation. It's about being authentic. And authentic values that the management team have. So we approached in WOM and other companies, first of all, I involved the management team and said, what values do you want to live as a company? Now, forget what Chris Bannister wants. What do you want, the management team? And they came up with pretty much those values, apart from one of them. And the one that they came up with differently. Sorry, they came up with the same values that I came up with. And it was passion, innovation, bravery, and simplicity.
Okay.
And I got on. I felt comfortable on that. I've had 2 companies previously with those same values, and I thought, great. And then we said, okay, we've got to take it now to the next level to see and we gave the, I think it was like 25 or 40 people, put them into different teams, discussed what company do you want to belong to? And what values should that company have? And it was like a 2-day exercise. And the outcome was bravery, yes. Passion, yes. Innovation, yes. And honesty. And to be honest, I thought, oh shit, that is tough. I said, awful to say it. It is tough for a leadership team to deliver and to deliver it as a company. But I thought, it's a fantastic value. And the reason that my Chilean extended team came up with that is because of the collusion in Chile, because of the lack of trust in political leadership and business leadership. And that's why it was so powerful. And I've got to say, wow, I am so glad we listened and took it through that exercise and then could say, every decision we make, is this honest? When I look at a direct report who I'm about to remove because of not living the values, I can look at myself and say, you're not being honest to these values. And not one of the people that I've fired has actually resented it. They know why. They know that they found it hard to really deliver and walk the talk of the values. And and they're even on my Facebook now in a positive way, not a trolling way. So,
wow.
Because it's authentic. Now, don't get me wrong, we make mistakes. We make honest mistakes. And when we screw it, we put it right. But that has been such a power, and I've learned a lot from that. So thank you to the management team and the rest of the organisation who made me learn at the age of what? I was then 55, 56 then. So I learned honesty, to have it as a value is very powerful.
Wow.
But tough to live.
Yes, definitely. So I've noticed you have a great connection with young people, and actually WOM has a lot of young people. What recommendation could you give to new leaders, to people who's aspiring to achieve great things and young? What advice could you give them?
You've got to get out and talk to them. I mean, I spend a lot of time, probably about every 6 or 8 weeks, I present, say, to university to, say, 150 to 200 people. I do that for 2 reasons, if I'm perfectly honest with you. One is they want to learn about entry strategy, market strategy, and I think they want me to come up with some great, McKinsey crap, strategic, and I hate strategy. But I talk to them about how you can enter markets. The 10 markets I've delivered in, the old 10 companies I've run are still alive and kicking and doing well. So from that aspect, it's unusual. But the other reason I use it is for me to learn. And you've got to be constantly listening to the young people, because they are your customers. They're going to be your future leaders. They are the ones who are going to define what Chile will be like in the next 3, 4, 10 years, they're the ones who will be in all the decision-making roles. So keeping close to them, that's why I do it, because I want to learn myself of how do we keep fresh. You've got some great young people in Chile, and they are very articulate and very demanding questions that I get, and that keeps me on my toes and keeps me fresh as well, even at the age of 59.
Wow, that's great. All right, so we have spoken about leadership philosophy. We've talked about a little bit about your experience and the things you've done. And I'd also like to know, what are you up to these days? Why are you in Chile? What are you doing here?
Yeah, well, to be honest, normally, I said, my 10th country. So I enjoy the adrenaline of a startup. I get a company, I get the brand sorted, I get the culture sorted, I get it to profitability. I think, to be honest, job done. I leave because life's too short to do maintenance. So I don't do maintenance. But I love Chile. So I bought a house, to be honest, or an apartment just around the corner from here. I fell in love with a Chilean girl. So those two factors, and the fact that Chile is such a gorgeous environment, and I appreciate the affection of the people that I've received. So I bought a house, was going to stay rather than just doing my normal, let's travel the world. I was initially thinking of going back to Asia on a personal basis. And then Novator said, look, rather than just doing some wacko stuff, because can we do a deal? And the deal was, can I do 50% seeing where we might want to take some Novator business, telco or not telco, around Latin America, and 50% working on my own passions. And my own passions are climate action, climate change. How do we protect these beautiful lands called Chile, or Sweden, or Poland? But I've fallen in love with Chile. What can I do to inspire political leaders, business leaders, and 18 million people to change what we currently do and protect this beautiful nature and make sure our planet survives for the next 10, 20 years?
So how has people, reacted to this?
Really positive. I started this by thinking, I know when I was in Sweden for 7 years, and people are fully aware of the environment and they're very conscious of how to behave, and that you shouldn't travel on the plane, you shouldn't use fossil fuels, you shouldn't drive cars, and they take the corrective action. That doesn't mean that they go and live in caves. I think we all know Sweden's a pretty sophisticated country. But they're taking corrective actions. Here, people are unaware. So there's a lot of education and awareness needed. But it's starting. And you've got some great young people again, where Extinction Rebellion are starting to form here. You've got Fridays for Future, which is the young movement started by Greta Thunberg, the Swedish schoolgirl. That's also alive here. So you've got the youngsters, which are also now aware that their planet is dying. And people of my generation are the ones who's caused it. But good news, people of my generation are also the ones that can take the corrective action. And I've actually also been really pleased that older people, they're still younger than me, but the older people also want to get involved in what to do. So I've had lots of discussions with government, NGOs, plus the student movements, and I'm starting to think, how can I now best raise the awareness? One of the things I'm doing in September, I'm biking on a cyclocross bike from Arica all the way down to Punta Arenas.
Really?
Stopping off at 10 schools to show pictures of my journey. And I'm calling it the beauty and the beast. The beauty of Chilean nature and the beast of human excess. And to start the debate, what do we need to do to reduce fossil fuels? What do we need to do to invest in sustainable industries? Not the old ones. So how do we transform agriculture, transport, power generation, waste management? What principles can we learn from Sweden and bring them to Chile? How do we do that? So I'm trying to put together those plans. They're not ready yet, but I'm working hard on trying to make those real.
That sounds awesome. So how long do you think it's going to take you to go from Arica to Punta Arenas?
The plan? The plan is 60 days. I've got to do 80 to 90 kilometers a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot. But the plan's 60 days.
Okay.
It might stretch 10 days there. So really I'm trying to get these photos that that the school children take, presented at COP25. Because why should it just be a Swedish schoolgirl who gets all the attention? You've got some great Chilean people and some great Chilean school people who are also really interested. So I really want to try and inspire those and give them a voice. Because those are the people that will suffer the most if we don't change. But I've got great faith in humanity. And great news, a lot of the businesses I've seen are sustainable. There are technologies that will improve this, not just electric cars, but there's ways of dealing with sewage, there's ways of dealing with plastic packaging. We just got to make those scalable so that they can transform the way we live our lives. The great news is technology is there. We've now got to get the funding and invest in those technologies and kill off the dirty industries that have caused this problem.
So what message would you like to give to people who's listening to us? What would you like to ask them to help in this cause?
One, learn and educate yourselves on what's needed to protect our climate. We need climate action. It's not just nice words. Taking one less shower a day or one less shower a week won't cut it. It's got to actually be transformative. We've got to change the way we live our lives. Doesn't mean living in a cave. It means transforming the way we live our lives and the industries that we've got. And the best way of doing that, tell your senator you want a clean planet. The government's responsibility is to transform the way we live our lives, whether it be in Chile, in Germany, in the UK. Governments have to take the corrective action. They've been too short term and we're destroying the planet. So tell on 18 million people to tell the senators that they want climate change, and then when they have the opportunity to vote for senators who believe in climate action now. That's what is needed.
Great. That sounds really good. A few final questions.
Okay.
You're really successful. You have awesome experiences, and that's like the nice part of it, or at least what people generally see. But all these have a cost. I mean, there's a price to pay. What do you think that some of the costs you had to, what are some of the things that you have to pay to get where you are?
Okay, it's a really good question. I mean, when I look back at my life, one, I would say I wouldn't change a day because I've really enjoyed it pretty much every day. There's been certain grey days, but I would say I've been really fortunate in the way I've lived my life because I've lived what I've wanted to do by making a difference. Now, the cost, I have to say my two children, until the age of 10, they were being transferred around the world for my adrenaline addiction of wanting to create. They lived every day of it, but I then got divorced. So I've been a distant father, and I can't deny. That's when I look back and think, being a distant father was not ideal. Now, I look at myself in the mirror and think, was I selfish? Yes. Did I have an option? No. Because you've got to chase your dreams. You don't want to live a life that isn't fulfilled. And I would say the fourth where I justify to myself, a lot of fathers who live every day with their children are not as close to the children as I am. Talking of the bike ride, last July, my kids came over to Chile and we cycled from San Pedro in the Atacama over the Andes, 4,600 meters, onto the Bolivian Salt Lakes. Took 11 days. Now, I do that once or twice a year with my kids, plus text them 5 times a day. A lot of fathers who actually live in the same house have no idea what the kids' music is. I do. So I've made up for it, but I do miss being a distant father. And that probably is one of the, when I look back thinking, I would like that to have been different, but it wasn't. And we compensated. So we've all got this trade-off that we have to do.
Final message you would like to send to people who's listening to us right now? Any final words? Any final thoughts?
Well, I'd just like to thank everybody out there. I really enjoyed the last 4 years, and that's why I want to live in Chile. And it's down to, beautiful Chile environment. But to be honest, it's down to the talent that exists in Chile and the love that I felt from 17 million Chileans. Apart from the dark side, who were not too keen on me. But hell, you can't please everyone all the time. But thanks Chileans. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for making me feel at home.
That's great. Well, Chris Bannister with us. Thank you so much for coming and talk to us. And nothing. Thank you so much.
But thank you. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye.